I'm basically on the edge of a bit of a hill. There's a massive drop off behind me. I don't know if you can see that way back there. There's quite the impressive cliff face right there. I might, if there's enough daylight, I might move up the road and see if I can get an angle on that, get that in the backdrop. It's really something else. And the conditions are right. There's a huge wall of ice forms on there. And there's a handful of local psychopaths that go and ice climb it. I don't know, man, the things people do, right? But anyway, and there's a epic view off behind me here, but it's Friday and the afternoon traffic down the highway below is just ripping uphill. I don't think I'll be able to pull off making a video there without having a nervous breakdown for the background sound, but it's a hell of a view not to share. So I think I'll blast off a couple here. If it's a short one, I'll move over up into that thing over there and I'll show you guys that epic backdrop, and I'll try to blast off an email with that nasty, annoying background sound behind me. But right now, let's get into what we got here. Hi, Steve. I've yet to see a Sasquatch, but want to and expect to. Careful what you ask for, man. Trust me. It sucks. If you haven't figured it out yet, the Club of No Return isn't that much of a club to celebrate being a member of. Guess that makes me a believer. I've had odd experiences while hunting in Washington State over the years. I wish I could share a fantastic encounter. Nevertheless, these two stories you might find interesting. My buddies and I have been elk hunting near the small town of Trot Lake for years. T-R-A-U-T. The area we hunt includes Mount Adams, Indian Heaven Wilderness, Big Lava Beds, and Skookum Meadows. Our camp is not far from where the famous Sasquatch Skookum body cast was taken. This is by pure coincidence. One hunting season, we hadn't filled our tags, with one more day of the season left. It was my turn to pick an area to hunt, and I randomly pointed to a spot on the map, northeast of Indian Heaven Wilderness. A road shown to end on the map. That year it snowed daily. For some reason, we encountered more hunters than usual. That morning, we rose around 4 a.m. and drove to my selected spot in the dark. We found the road, which turned out to be a dead-end landing. Since this was a new area, we waited for the crack of dawn before heading out, and much to my surprise, my two buddies just took off in different directions. That left me overlooking a large cedar cut way below the landing as morning broke. I could see a large stand of dark timber at the bottom. That's where I would hunt and started my steep descent in knee-deep snow. By the time I reached the timber, it was full daylight, and what a beautiful blue sky morning. It had snowed the night before, and I started my hunt along the timber's edge. Finally, I had a virgin area to hunt with no other hunters in sight. But wait, what's that? A fresh boot print, and then another, and another? Oh my God, I couldn't believe another hunter had beat me to the spot. Where'd this hunter come from, as there were no other roads leading in here? I shook my head in frustration and started following the tracks along the timber's edge. That year, no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't shake other hunters. I figured this hunt was over, and then realized the track stride, left to right in the snow, seemed long, 4 to 5 feet. I must be following a basketball player. The tracks led up to a downed tree at an angle of 4 inches of fresh snow on top of it. When I got to the tree, it was about waist high, and clearly the other hunter had stepped over the tree, as the tracks continued on the other side. Wow, what a feat, as none of the snow in that trunk had been disturbed. I felt if the hunter could do that, so could I. Step over the tree, that is. I only had to jump, climb, and stretch, knocking all the snow off the trunk in process. As my 2 feet hit the earth on the other side, I gazed at the continuing trackway, which continued for several hundred feet, and looked closer at the tracks in front of me, now fully lit by morning sunlight. They're big. What are those, toes? Is that a heel? It was at that moment I realized what made the tracks. Sasquatch. I was a bit younger then and invincible. Something came over me as I experienced feelings never felt before. No, not fear at all. As though on autopilot, I was no longer hunting elk, but now hunting Bigfoot. There must have been a glaze in my eyes, and clearly I was not myself. My fixated objective was to hunt that beast down and kill it. My senses never so alert like a fearless predator. I was ultra aware of my surroundings, as though having eyes in the back of my head. Time seemed stopped, and found myself at the point where the tracks turned in the dark timber. My focus so intent. Were there a 6-point bill elk in sight, I would have ignored it. Instantly, I dashed into the timber following the tracks. About 50 yards in, the timber dropped down into a deep, dark hell hole. Heading down, there was less and less snow on the ground, and the Sasquatch tracks led me into fading darkness. The tracks, too, were fading, and I was about to plunge in. All of a sudden, it was as though I woke up to reality. What the hell was I doing? Chasing a monster with a 30-06 by myself down some deep, dark canyon? With that, a dreadful fear came over me and a cold sweat. It was almost as though I'd been lured in somehow, with certain death awaiting down in that abyss. At that point, the only thing I wanted was out of there. Suddenly, behind and above me, my peripheral vision caught movement. Oh no, the beast had flanked me. I felt frozen, and I had to turn and face my monster. Somehow I flipped the safety off and instantly spun around. If I was to meet my maker, it would become with the price of a 180-grain chunk of lead copper. Obviously, I lived to tell the tale, and that moment turned out not to be a Sasquatch, but tree branches up about 9 feet swaying in the wind. To this day, I do not understand why I seemingly lost control and tell myself that'll never happen again. The second story, same hunting area but different year. I'll keep this short. There's only an hour or so of legal shooting light left, and I stepped into a semi-clearing cut that had been logged many years prior. Many small stands of new trees were scattered about, limiting visibility to about 30 yards or so. Darkness started to fall, and an eerie mist rolled in. Suddenly I came upon a huge mound of boulders. They were lava rocks, and the pile must have been 10 feet high by 20 feet long. I surmised loggers or farmers had dumped the rocks here with heavy equipment. I decided to climb to the top of the pile, thinking it might make for a great hunting perch for some other day. Upon reaching the top, I discovered a big bowl was formed, dropping down at least 5 feet into the pile. Then I noticed countless green pine boughs lined in the bowl bottom. I thought a smart hiker made that bed as I jumped in. It was comfy, and the black lava rocks threw off absorbed heat from sunlight. That's when I realized the branches were not sawn off. Same as thickness of my wrist, but torn, ripped from the trees. What? What could be that strong? Then it occurred to me. I was frolicking in the bed of a Sasquatch. With 5 minutes of light left, I got out of there and never returned to that rock pile. Chris Valerio, Sequim, Washington, Sequim. And there you go. Yet another seasoned hunter coming across massive barefoot prints while hunting. If I had 5 cents for every one of the hunters that report that same thing, I would be doing quite all right for financial, I'll tell you what. It's endless, and I'll tell you what, some people complain about some of the rants I let rip the odd time, but like I said before, you guys aren't receiving all these emails, and you possibly haven't been observing the embarrassing shit show that goes on in our society as much as I have been observing it, knowing that we are so freaking misled and lied to. It's absolutely frustrating. It's very, very frustrating to me. But it all starts with the children, right? So hopefully all of you realize the importance of honestly filling in your children, your family members, people that are close to you with the honest facts when it comes to this topic. It's very, very important. And I'm sure there's a handful of you out there that are watching me speak these words right now and think I've lost my shit and lost my marbles. I almost envy all you people that haven't had to have that face-to-face experience one of these things, because it obviously, sitting on the fence and observing, it sure looks like it sure is a lot easier to go through life a little numb between the ears and not being informed and not knowing, as opposed to being in the club of no return, right? Who knows? I don't know. Will there be benefits revealed eventually of how we do benefit from knowing the honest truth of these things? I hope so. I hope it's coming. But in the meantime, I think I hear somebody coming. Here's something. All right. What else do we have in here? All right. I'm going to try to read an email from here without having a nervous breakdown because the traffic down below me in the valley bottom is noisy to me. I'm sure you can hear it. Hopefully my voice overrides it quite clearly. And then, but I had to show you guys this backdrop, right? It's pretty cool. Listen to this. Hey Steve, I thoroughly enjoy your videos. Your backdrops are gorgeous, and BC is definitely on my bucket list. There you go. Yes, it is. I have hiked up Mount Katahdin in Maine, Mount Hood in Oregon, and many places in between. I've never seen a Sasquatch, but I believe they are out there. I'd hate for anything to come between me and the outdoors. I pray for those who have been scared out of the woods to have the courage to go back to what they love. I believe one reason the government might be lying to us is because they want to eventually take away our Second Amendment rights. Some countries have already given up their guns. Example, Australia. It is difficult for gun haters to convince everyone that guns are not needed in today's society, but how difficult would it be for them to advocate taking away weapons if they admitted that there was an 8-foot-tall, 800-pound wild, potentially dangerous beings walking around out there? I'm not really a conspiracy guy, but it's something to think about. I'm a veteran, and besides hunting and just having fun shooting, the main reason I chose to keep my guns is so I don't end up being a victim of tyranny. Steve, take care and love your passion. Believe in what you are doing, and hope everyone who is struggling with their encounters finds peace. Kind regards, Dave in Kansas City. Thanks, Dave. Fully agree. Well, I can't fully agree. It's the firearms thing is why we are not being publicly informed about the existence of these things. But it is without a doubt the bad guys are more scared of guns than the good guys. And the bad guys are the government, right? They always want to put a ban on assault weapons, a ban on handguns, a ban on guns every time there's a murder. But you never, ever, ever hear of them saying, we want to put a ban on murderers. Right? They don't want to put a ban on criminals or a ban on murderers. They want to put a ban on weaponry. Dumbasses. That's a whole new topic. Another nut to crack and explode, and everybody can rant for frickin' days on that topic, right? As far as what I believe is the reason we are not being honestly informed of these beings is because it cracks open dozens and dozens of other covered up truths that we're not being shared, that are not being shared with us. That's what I firmly believe, and that's why I said it before. The Sasquatch topic is one of the easiest ones to show and prove to everyone that we are being lied to. We're being manipulated, misled, and lied to from as early as the first day we step into that classroom in grade 1. Prove me I'm wrong.